Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the July Norms Round Robin event. This is round number 6, and my opponent for this round is Gus Huston. The interesting thing about this game, first and foremost, is that I remember Gus when he was like this big, all right? And that's small, all right? I'm not that high off the ground. Like, I swear, just the other day, Gus was like 8 years old. And I knew him because he's from like New York. I think I've seen him play at Marshall Chess Club or some of these scholastic events. Now he's apparently like 14, 15, 16. I don't know. All I know is he's like giant. Like, I have a little brother who's 15, and my little brother is giant. I don't know what it is with this younger generation, but they're all like twice my size. All right, it's completely insane. And Gus, the last time he played this event, he got an I am Norm. And there's really like I don't know much about him except that he plays E4. He doesn't have any online profile. I mean, I'm sure he does. He just keeps it anonymous, which is intelligent. Again, he lost the first 2 games of his tournament, but going into playing me, he's won the last 3. And before the game, I decided I was not going to play the Caro. The reason I was not going to play the Caro is because I saw what he played, and he actually played this earlier in the event. He plays the classical variation, which you either play the Tartakower and take some risk with your structure, or you play Bishop F5. And I just don't enjoy the classical variation all that much. Like, I'll be honest, like the entire main line, everybody knows it. Everybody knows like the 20 moves of theory here. And it's just difficult for black to win. Like, I honestly don't remember the last time I beat somebody in classical chess in the classical Caro-Kann. It's just a very, very equal line. So I decided I would play the French. I don't know if he had prepared that or not. And I decided to play the French because I used to play the French, and because of one specific variation, the Tarrasch. C5, knight, e takes d5, queen d5. And there's this variation where black grabs the pawn and then moves the queen back. The queen could actually go to any of these squares. And the idea is that, white is going to castle, play knight b3, take the pawn, and then chess will be played. And he's done this all before, and he had a game that went something like this, where he played like rook e1, his opponent played knight c6, but the queen was on d6 in that game. And actually, I think Gus went on a big attack, sacked a piece, but ended up losing that game, not because of the opening. So I went knight c6. I've actually beaten a lot of good players with this line. And the idea of delaying the knight to f6 is that when white takes on d4, and then you take and they take, you play queen c7. This is the entire idea. Queen c7 attacks the bishop. When it moves, you go here attacking this, and then knight e7. Instead of the natural knight f6. This is actually a very good line for black. It scores like 60% for black. And then slowly black will play b5 and bishop b7. And then the knight is actually very comfortable on g6, although it looks like it would be more naturally placed on that square. So I decided, you know what? I haven't played this in a few years, but I mean, I know a lot about it. So let's play this. Now, before the game, I took a very brief look at what if he plays rook e1. This is not the most popular move in the database at all. It's also not really the right move. Like, it hasn't been played in 90% of the games. But in that game that I saw him play, he played rook e1 before he took the pawn back. And I was like, well, he might play it, He might play this move, so let me just take a quick look. And I saw that, just developing my bishop is good. And then if he plays bishop d2, then I would trade my bishop, just knight f6 and castle. Like, okay, and then I'll figure it out. Okay, that was the extent of my prep. Of course, you can do some other stuff. Like, you can play b5 right away, and then he'll go back with his bishop, and then maybe he'll target my pawn. I don't know. Maybe this is like some deep preparation of his. So I played bishop before, and then here's him sitting there at the board. I'm like, why don't I go back? Because he can't take my pawn now. Right? He can't take my pawn. He actually blocked his own, and I still got a developing move. I ended up rejecting this because I thought he just goes here and just takes my pawn on the next move. And like, why did I play bishop e7? Bishop b4. Right? So that didn't make much sense to me. Because again, prep looks different when it's on your computer screen and when you're actually sitting there over the board. I kind of was like, comparing the positions. For example, the position that I had just shown you, this one, with the bishops on the board versus the bishops off the board. And I couldn't really figure this out. At first I was like, it doesn't really matter. It's just a trade of bishops. It's really insignificant. But then again, I started thinking, which, you know, sometimes when I start thinking, it's a good thing. Sometimes when I start thinking, it's a bad thing, honestly. Because naturally here, you just play knight f6 and castle, right? But then I was like, why can't I go knight e7? I play knight e7 in the other line. Why can't I do it here? And then I thought, well, he's just going to play natural moves, and my knight really has no role here. It has a much better role being centralized. So, okay, fine. So I played knight f6. He took, I took, he took. And here, my plan was queen c7, again. Bishop moves, like back to, I don't know, d3. Maybe to line this up. And then castles. And I thought, okay, this is an equal position. And then I will play something like b6, bishop b7, maybe e5, attacking the knight. I will put my rooks. And, okay, it's equal, but, I mean, chess is a draw at the end of the day. So, maybe not when you or I play it, but that's a draw at the end of the day. So I'm sitting there thinking about queen c7, and some noise happens behind me. Like somebody dropped something. What's going on back there? You know, it's supposed to be a tournament hall. Like, why is everyone making noise? And when I turned back to the board, I had a revelation. And my revelation was that I'm so trash at this game. No, I'm just kidding. I know you guys are like, stop with the negative self-talk. I will absolutely continue, by the way. It's just in my DNA. It's not much I can do. It's sorry, you know, we're all built different. I realized that queen c7, he has queen b4, which is a serious problem because now I cannot castle. So the only way to castle would be to go here. And then, well, first of all, he can trade and, I don't know, just play f4, rook d1. He's not winning my pawn because I can play king f8, but position still looks really stupid for black. And also, he doesn't even have to trade. He could just move his queen like here or something, and it's going to be tough for me to play moves. It's just what I thought. I was like, wow, he has queen b4. That's really annoying. Okay, well, if he has queen b4, then, you know, fine, I'll just castle. Now I'm definitely worse. Make no mistake. And I thought he was going to move his queen over here. I thought his best move was to play queen f4. Or rook d1, but I thought queen f4 was the best move because it cuts off my diagonal, and also he wants to transfer his queen and then go for an attack. So he thought like for 7-8 minutes and then played queen f4. He was still playing very fast, right? Now again, if you give me 5 seconds here, what I'm going to play here is b5, and then when the bishop moves, I'm gonna play bishop b7. The problem with bishop b7 right away, however, is that there's knight e6, which is sort of an unfortunate feature of this position, because I had never been able to move my queen. So it takes, I would just lose this. Now, the only reason that doesn't work right away, for example, h6, is because I actually get too much material this way. If you count the material, I get a rook, bishop, and a knight, which is enough for a queen. More than enough. But it doesn't work if I move my bishop out of the way. So had he gone here, I probably would have had to have gone rook e8 and just evaluate that there was no danger to my queen with bishop b7. But this looks terrifying. He has a bulldozer on the queen side, and he has a knight just ready to jump to f5 at any moment. It doesn't work because I have this move. And now back rank mate if he takes my queen. Or queen takes rook if he takes that rook first. So yeah, I mean, like, I just b5 and bishop b7, right? That seems quite natural. But I started thinking, right? So I started thinking, I have a couple of options. I can play rook d8, which attacks this. Knight e6 again doesn't work now because of that situation where I would be gaining a bunch of material. But again, he would just go rook d1, and I just didn't quite understand what was going on here. But again, you really should be playing b5, right? Like, this is what you should be doing. But I came up with a different idea. I came up with the idea to first block his bishop from hitting the e6 pawn, right? Knight d5. And what I had calculated here was that he would probably go to h4. Because now I've removed the defender. Maybe g3, maybe f3. I couldn't, like, maybe g5. Honestly, I like couldn't figure out where exactly he was going to transfer his queen. h4 made the most sense to me. And then I was thinking to go b5, bishop d3, g6. I calculated some line where I create a little bit of a, you know, something like this, bishop b7, right? So I thought for a little bit on knight d5. I play knight d5. And then he goes here. Now, the craziest thing is that move did not occur to me. Like, at all. Like, when I say a one square queen move didn't occur, like, this is the kind of tournament that I'm having, right? You guys have seen me lose 2 games now. Like, okay, so now, the reason why knight d5 doesn't make any sense, just from, like, if you want me to explain it in a chess perspective, I'm not bringing any more pieces to the game, right? I should be developing more pieces, like bringing my rook and my bishop, but I'm wasting time, right? And now I've wasted so much time that he has some really serious threats. For instance, like, let's just say I try to fianchetto my bishop. This is a very serious threat by white. I am positionally completely lost here because he will play rook e5 and then rook e1, dominating the file. I mean, look at the comparison between these pieces, right? It's just ridiculous. Rook e7, and he will do whatever he wants. He will run circles around my position. He will make a getaway for his king so he can come off the file. He controls the only open file, and he will. He will control that file for the rest of the game because there's really nothing I can do about it. He will go here, here, double up. So, yeah, I mean, knight d5 is just an idiotic move, which is why the best move now is to go knight f6 or knight e7. Which is, I mean, come on, who can play chess like that, right? Like, you had the option earlier to go knight e7, so instead you played knight f6, knight d5, and now knight e7, right? So I thought, okay, you know what? We've screwed up a little bit, but no problem. Also, I can't trade the queens because he would take my knight, and then now my queen has no guard, and I would lose this, right? So I said, okay, no problem. I mean, I'm going to play rook d8, he's going to play rook d1, and then I'll play queen c7. Right? That seems pretty logical. Or something like rook d8, rook d1, maybe b5. You know, maybe b5. And then if we have this big trade, queen d5, like, this will be the position. Nice. Okay, we'll do this. Terrific. That's the plan. Rook d1. Rook d8, sorry, rook d1. And as I'm sitting at the board, I suddenly realize I'm completely screwed. I've played way too close to the fire this game. Now I am on the verge of getting totally knocked out. For instance, if I play my original idea, which is b5, then I thought he can play bishop d5, queen d5, and the absolutely ridiculous move, knight to f5. That's game over. I lose on the spot because if I take his queen, I get mated, okay? Look how brutal my position. If I take his queen, I get mated, okay? If I take his knight, I get mated. I also lose a queen, but I get mated. If I take his rook, I get mated. Knight f5, game is over. So b5 doesn't work unless I go for this position, and then he still has knight f5, and then I have f6, knight e7 check. If I go here, there's this check. I thought king f8 here, but I thought this was a totally lost position. It is. It is, make no mistake. I even thought he has like rook d5 here, but he doesn't. He could just move his queen back. I mean, what are we doing? Like, what? Why is this here, right? So this doesn't work. My original idea of b5 doesn't work at all. So then I was looking at, I was actually embarrassingly looking at queen e8 for like quite a while, like maybe 3 minutes, thinking bishop d5, rook d5. He could just take it. It's just mate. I mean, I literally spent like 3 minutes on the move queen e8 before realizing he can just take my knight. Then I thought about going back to f6 with the idea that he cannot move his knight. So if he like sacks, I have queen d1, which is a very nice move. With back rank attack ideas, he can block, but then I would win his knight. So the problem with knight f6, and I see Stockfish says it here, he just moves his rook up. Now his rook is defended, he can discover to attack me, and he will go rook g3, and I will not stop this attack. Like, this is just game over. This is completely correct. Stockfish agrees with me. I can't defend myself here. He'll play, like, any move he wants. He can even sack his rook. and then play queen g5, and then take my knight, I'm dead lost. I have no way to defend against this attack. I mean, all my pieces are on the last rank. So imagine the feeling that it's move 16 in a game, and you're just completely lost. Like, literally, the game can end now. The embarrassment of being the first game done in like an hour and a half and like losing is just, oh my god. You got like 38 people around you because it's a room of 40 people. And it's like a little less because some people take quick draws in norm events. I mean, I'm just sitting there like, what am I doing? I mean, just think about everything that went wrong in this game. I was like, his repertoire is too solid in the Caro, so I'm going to create winning chances in a French. And now I'm basically getting the root canal of chess games right here. Like, you know what I mean? The overwhelming feeling of stupidity is really, there's nothing quite like it except in chess. I mean, you can do something stupid. You can trip over something on the sidewalk. You can embarrass yourself when you do public speaking or in a class presentation. There is nothing more humbling than the sheer emotion of being a total clown on a chessboard. Like the silent dialogue that you have with the player and like the rest of the room who come to spectate. Because, yeah, so sitting there like, this is just, I mean, this is absurd. I am so much better than this. What am I doing? Like, come on. Man, what? So, I mean, I have to make a move. I can't just sit there and have these emotions, so I play queen c7. And this only wins to one idea, really. If he goes back to this idea, then here I would play, I was going to go to this endgame where I'm not even sure I'm losing because I get time to develop. But unfortunately, because the position is so bad, he can take my queen. And then here, he actually has one and only one winning move. And it's a beautiful move. I mean, to be honest, when you're on the receiving end of it, and really, I think at this level, it's a pretty elementary tactic. But it is quite beautiful. And I did see it after he had played rook d1. The only way for him to make any progress here is to take advantage of the fact that I'm behind in development. He has this very nice move, knight b5. And when I saw that knight b5 was a thing, yeah, I knew the game was over. So he's threatening a back rank mate. And if I take, he's still threatening a back rank mate, and he's threatening my knight. So if I play knight d5, which is kind of, you know, trying to like, well, I lose a pawn at the very least. Let's put it this way. But also, he doesn't even have to take. He can continue the journey, which is so brutal. And I saw this endgame that we could get, like, for instance, bishop d5, or even with, you know, and I just thought, okay, like, I'm going to be down one pawn. I probably can't hold this. You know, this is probably, like, not a holdable endgame because he will just very slowly come into my position. Of course, I was ready for the challenge of defending this. So I came up with this idea to go rook c8 and try to win back my material this way. He's going to lose his knight, so he sacrifices it, bishop e6, and he decides to go for this endgame. I actually thought the better endgame was this one with bishop d3. I thought that maybe here he should be better, but he decides to damage my structure and then play c3. He does not go for this because there's back rank mate and rook d2 ideas. So c3, king f7, and I don't know how he's going to beat me because all of our pawns are kind of on the home base. So he decides to bring his king. Oh, so he plays f3, but it's bringing his king. I play b5 because the idea is to potentially play a5, b4, soften things up and go down to c2. We both bring our kings. He goes king e2. Now, what was originally my idea here was to play rook d5. So I sort of beeline for this variation because my idea was to play rook d5. This sort of, I thought, would slow down, you know, him. And then I would put my king on e5. But of course, I mean, just like literally everything else in this game, I forgot that he cuts my king off. Like, you know what I mean? I mean, what can I do, right? Nothing. I can't do anything. The brain just isn't... what can I do? I guess... Well, whatever. We'll I have some thoughts on this game after the game and the tournament. I just forgot, you know, and I could do a lot of different things here. Maybe I can play h5, h4. I don't know. It's really difficult to understand which of my pawns I should touch, which I shouldn't touch. So I went back, and then here I came up with this sort of like mini blockade. I was like, okay, I have a little bit more center space. He cannot touch any of the infiltration squares. I want to play a5, b4. If he plays king e4, rook d5, I'm going to play rook c4 check. So he comes up with b3. I really didn't like the move b3. I kind of felt like he was giving me a target. And it was going to be difficult for him to move the rook. Unfortunately, I still have to make moves here, right? So do I play g5, h5, or a5? $1,000,000 question. So I found a really nice idea after g4, which actually saves the game. I was gonna play h5, and when I saw this, I got super excited. So the idea is to take, right, and play rook h8. If he takes, I play rook h8, and now all of a sudden he's got big weaknesses. So I thought g5. I didn't play h5 because I was a bit worried about h4, and now I can't really move anything over there. And I didn't play a5 because I thought, why am I weakening my pawns even more? You know, like what's really the game plan here? So I played g5 because I had an idea. Like if he plays g4, I'll play h5 or a5 first. I don't know. And the thing is, I can't waste time because if I play rook c7, he plays rook d8 at some point. So he played king e4. And then here I made a mistake. Here I definitely should have gone h5. I should have allowed rook d5, taken here. But I thought I was losing here. Like I thought this was just a losing position somehow. And I'm right. He has h4. If I take, he takes my pawn, then he takes that. And he's probably just winning because he's going to get, like if I play rook c2, I guess I would grab this pawn. But I don't know. The computer says no matter which pawn I grab, it's lost. Because he just, 2 pawns versus none is very difficult to defend. But this might have given me my best practical chance. Because during the game, I came up with kind of this idea. And I thought he doesn't have any moves here. I was actually very confident. I suddenly got this burst of energy and I was like, oh, nice. He doesn't have any, he's going to go down here. I'm going to take, he'll check me and then he'll take my pawn and then I'm going to go down to c2. Oh, wow. I even have this move. I didn't even see that during the game. Oh my God. I would have found it over the board, but wow. And then, yikes. Crazy. So I thought, oh, nice. He can't really do anything. He can't move any of his pawns. If he moves his a pawn, I go here. If he moves his h-pawn, I'll just play h6, or maybe I'll play a4. And as fate would have it, he had one final trick up his sleeve, which was the move c4. The move that I had worked so hard to make impossible. And the point is that he is successfully going to get to d5. If I take, is rook c3. Yeah, nice idea by him. One final nice idea. And maybe I can defend this endgame, but it's over. Because now he gets in and he has a much more active king. The whole point for me defensively was I either get down here or I check his king off the e-file. Right? Or I check it off the 4th rank, I mean. I'm getting none of those things now. He sneaks in and he gives me a couple of nice deflection checks to force my king one way or the other. And now he's attacking my pawn. He's also threatening to check and check me. And I just don't have the defensive resources here as he gets into the position and he will just loot all the rest of the pawns. So I resigned. It was his 4th win in a row. So he's 4 out of 6, clearly in good chess shape, calculating well, playing well. This is like one of the worst games I think I've maybe ever played from start to finish. Really bad opening choice. Hindsight is 2020, but like, what was I concerned about in the Caro? Literally, think about the logic. I didn't play the Caro because I didn't want to play the classical, so instead I got a losing position in 15 moves. Not seeing Queen E5. And yeah, just horrible. I mean, honestly, just a terrible game by me. Against players who, in this event, I've played some bad games, and my opponents are very good. Like Gus, like Akira. Tani fought back from a worse position. I mean, I don't know what it is. Like after this game, I felt, like I said, I felt extremely stupid. I felt just really like depressed and defeated. Probably the thought of making a recap made it worse because I have to make these videos in the sense that it's my job at the end of the day. I mean, I'm not going to run away from my job. This is it. I have to face the music, but I mean, this is just horrible play. This is nowhere near GM play, but it's nowhere near IM play either. I mean, I'm playing like a glorified FIDE master right now. Yeah, I mean, we're gonna try to bounce back in round number 7, but I can't say I have a desire to compete much anymore when I'm playing like this. So We'll end the tournament strong. And of course, you know, when I have bad results, the hyenas come out, you know, like the folks, they smell blood, so they try to pounce. And listen, I'm not gonna lie, it sucks to read comments about everything from what everybody thinks is actually wrong with you to just people insulting you. It's a lot. It's a lot. It's part of the job. It's a brutal thing, but yeah. Well, what more to say? Anyway, this is the stuff that's on my mind. Shit game, but try to bounce back in round number 7, 8, and 9, and then we'll see what the future holds. You know the drill. I gotta say get out of here now, so get out of here.